And welcome to our regular session now. We will begin with a report on the closed session. No report, right? With no action taken, I'm sorry. All right, Ms. Felicia, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving on to an executive summary of the workshops.
Thank you so much, Mr. Forehand. Earlier this evening, we were really fortunate. We were visited by the community of Hopkinson Elementary School under the leadership of Mr. Jason Farver. They gave a wonderful update about what's happening at the home of the Huskies this school year, 2 wonderful student speakers, as well as a really great patriotic rendition of a song by the Hopkinson Choir. After that, we got to hear all about an amazing hero of the heart from Hopkinson. We honored 2 classified employees of the year, Mrs. Jackie Solis, as well as Corinne Vizcaino. And so I think we just had a great start to what looked to be a wonderful board meeting.
Thank you. Moving on to my report, and we're going to focus on what do we do in the Los Alamitos Unified School District to make a difference for all students. Our core values of care, responsibility, equity, and commitment fit very nicely as we celebrate all students. And we do this in many ways. Just to mention a few, we have Abilities Awareness Weeks. We have Walk in My Shoes Week. We have Just Say Hello activities. And this week, we're celebrating Neurodiversity Week. And I honestly had to look up exactly what neurodivergent means. And it means that your brain works differently than the average person. This may be differences in social experiences, ways of learning, ways of communicating, and or ways of perceiving the environment. These students need our support, as do all our kids. And that leads right into our core values. The exemplary school programs provide the setting that ensures their total success. School-wide events help our kids understand and learn to support kids to have a brain that works just a little differently than theirs. Ooh, I goofed. All right, so the video you're about to see is, can we take that slide off, Tina? Do I have to? Okay. The video was a collaborative effort between the families of multi-age Hopkinson Huskies, their teachers and their aides. Ed specialists Sarah Lee and Amanda Lenhart had the idea to highlight their students to not only their fellow Huskies, but the greater Los Alamitos community as well. When they discussed the idea with the families, and we made sure that it was discussed with them before creating the video, they were excited and supported to share their child's special neurodiversity through this video. What made it even more special was to have a few of their siblings involved in even narrating and contributing to the scripts. And I give full credit to Nicole's wonderful work with Hopkins and staff to create what is a wonderful video.
Hello friends, I'm Mrs. Lee. This week we're celebrating the neurodiversity of our Huskies. What does it mean to be neurodiverse? It means that we're all made differently. Our brains are made differently. And here in room 15, we love to celebrate our differences. Let me introduce you to some of my favorite neurodivergent friends.
Hello, my name is Kaya. I'm in 1st grade and this is my 1st year at Hopkinson. My teacher says I've done amazing transitioning to my new school. I am autistic. I am learning to use my voice to speak, but I also use a talker. If you know me, you know that I make humming sounds. My teacher calls this stimming. Listen to my humming. Stimming calms me. It really soothes me and makes me happy. I love making new friends, but I also like having my own space and time.
You will also see that I wear headphones sometimes. You might have said hello, but I might have not heard you. I'm not trying to be rude. It's just because it helps me drown out the outside noise to keep myself at ease.
I love the big blue swing. My friends love pushing me on the swing. They're learning signs to ask if I want more pushes. I have an adult next to me to help me make new friends and communicate with you guys.
When you come to say hi, remember to say my name, Kaya, and I will do my best to say hi back and remember your face.
Hi, my name is Molly. I am in kindergarten and this is my second year at Hopkinton. I have 2 big brothers, 1 big sister, and 1 little sister. They all go to Hopkinton too. And I have a dog named Teddy. I was born a lot like you, but also a little different. I love playing with my friends just like you. I also love dancing, hugging, and laughing all day long. I love long hair. Sometimes I try to touch my friend's hair. If you ask me not to touch your hair, that's okay. I will just look at it. I say some words, but I also use a talker so that others know what I need. If you have a hard time understanding me, ask my big sister Lila. She always knows what I need. You may have seen me wear my eye patch. Don't worry, my eye is not hurt. The eye patch makes my other eye stronger. If you see me out on the playground, please invite me to play. I love running on the grass and picking flowers. Sometimes I am a little clumsy. I don't walk and run as fast as you. I love holding hands or walking next to friends because it makes me feel safe. My teacher tells me how patient, loving, caring, and independent I have become. I may be little, but I am strong.
Hi, my name is Juliet. I am 6 years old. I am in kindergarten. I am autistic. I am independent. I just need a little bit of support. I love to color. My life is all about rainbows. The rainbow colors really make me happy. I love playing with food. My teacher tells me I make amazing meals. I don't like it when it's loud. When it's loud, I ask for headphones. Sometimes I get upset. Sometimes I cry. Sometimes I scream. I just need some time. When we play, I might repeat what you say. When you want to ask me something, stop what you're doing, stop me, and say my name. Wait until I'm looking at you, and then ask me. I do better with yes and no questions. Let's be friends. Ask me to come and play.
Hi, my name is Miles. I am in 2nd grade and I am here at Hopkinton. I'm autistic. I have a lot of sounds, but I use my talker to communicate what I want or need. This is my talker. I choose what I want it to say and press the bar for it to speak the sentence. My favorite class is music. I love music. I love dancing. I love being with my friends. I was Frosty and performed with my classmates at the winter performance in December. I had so much fun. It really made my family and teacher proud. You might see me watching you on the playground. It's because I'm really curious and super observant. I like to watch and learn. If you see me on the playground, come say hi. I love running, so take me out on the grass and come run with me.
Hi, my name is Connor. I am in 2nd grade and this is my 3rd year at Hopkinton. I am autistic. I'm very independent, but I lots of hugs and tickles. I use my talker to say what I want, but just like all of you, sometimes I need to cry and scream to let it out. I love art. I love drawing and making all sorts of designs. My teacher says I'm very creative. I use my headphones because my ears are more sensitive than yours. Doesn't it bother you sometimes, but bothers me, so please understand. I love playing on the playground, running out on the grass, and digging under the big trees. I also love running and playing in the rain. When you see me on the playground, extend your hand to me and call me by my name. Ask me to come and play. I would love to take your hand and go play with you.
You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. When the road looks rough ahead.
Wow. Congratulations on that. And it just reminds us that the core values that we've adopted as a district of care, responsibility for all kids, equity for all kids, and we are committed to making a difference for them. So we just got this today, and it was from Sarah Lee, Sarah the teacher, and she said she just wanted to share just a couple of things about the last 2 days at Hopkinson, which is celebrating Neurodiversity Week. And when they lined up to get on the bus to go home, they could hear all kinds of kindergartners cheering them, yelling, hello, 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 across to them. Her staff came in from recess, and they all say, it is overwhelming number of kids coming over, and everyone wants to say hi, and they all want to play. This brought me to tears. We had a line of 8 kids wanting to push Kaya on her swing. Molly made a new friend from a different class, and she asked her if she wanted to go find flowers with her. This boy came and said, let's go play to Miles, and they ran on the grass. She finishes by saying, thank you. This is all I wanted, not stares, looks, walking away, etc., just simple acknowledgement and acceptance. So I think we're all very proud of that effort. So last slide. I had the fortune to pay my own way to attend the National Show Choir event in New York City, and not only did the kids performing star, but and including our board student rep star, but it also led me to learn more about what goes on behind the scenes, because normally when we attend an event here, the curtains are drawn, but at the show choir event, national event, it's open, no curtains, and you can see these kids, what we call the tech team, working so hard to create the scene that the kids then show off their show choir performance. And we saw moms crawling on the risers, lifting them up, kids that were actually going to perform later out there in their dress performance gear, helping set up the stage. So it's just the behind the scenes kids that make a big difference, as well as the parents on this. And a shout out to 2 dads who drove from California to New York with all the costumes and equipment that was needed. So yeah, something else. All right, that ends my report. Moving on now to an even better report. High school representative.
Good evening, President Forehand, esteemed board members, Dr. Pulver, and any community members watching in person or online. My name is Alexa Dharmapalan, and I am your student representative to the Board of Education from Los Alamitos High School, and this is my second to last board report.
Oh.
Tonight in academics, our students are continuously preparing for their state exams. Our juniors at Los Al have begun taking their CASP tests both yesterday and today. Many of the AP courses at Los Al have come to a close, and teachers are preparing students for the exams next month. Teachers on campus always go above and beyond preparing students for these exams, and I know that I'll walk into all of my own exams feeling calm, cool, and collected, thanks to our wonderful teachers. Additionally, the final SAT session of the school year will be held on May 6th at Los Alamitos High School to close out the school year. In activities, on March 20th through the 24th, our campus was both divided and united in our Clash of Classes Griffin Games. All week long, students dressed out and played games in order to win points for their teams. I think the highlight of the week was the cannonball contest at school. On Thursday, 4 teachers, Mr. Hong, Mr. Berger, Mr. Brown, and Mr. Weatherman, all made a splash as they did their best flips off the diving board for the sake of their teams. On Friday, our students were able to have a wonderful field day where they got to spend time with their peers, play games on inflatables, and just for participating, they won points for their teams. A big congratulations are in order for the red team, our freshman and our senior, because they took it all home this year. Coming up, our Griffins can dance the night away at prom. This year, the theme is a beautiful fairy tale theme, Once Upon a Prom. Held at the Santa Anita Racetrack, this night will for sure be one to remember on May 20th. In athletics tonight, we're featuring girls softball. These girls just had the Carew Classic this last Saturday. They worked tirelessly to master their crafts, and it shows. They went undefeated the entire weekend and took the win against St. Francis in the championship game with a score of 4-2. This means that our Lady Griffins will be moving on to the Sunset League Championships in the near future. We all wish you the best of luck. Additionally, we have a National Signing Day coming up for our student athletes on campus. On Wednesday, April 19th, come watch our Griffins sign their athletic letters of intent for their dream schools. Our Griffins are extremely skilled, and they deserve to show off a little bit before they leave campus for college. In the arts, we're featuring Los Alamitos Dance, who has upcoming shows April 26th through April 29th. The show is set in a dystopian setting, and there's no color present in the world. The four protagonists are living in a world isolated in a dome, and they decide to go into the forest to escape. There, they find a time capsule that has various elements of art in them. The four friends use these tools to bring color back into the world. You can get your tickets to this show on the Los Al Dance website or the Instagram bio. Moving on, we have a few recognitions to give to a couple of our arts programs on campus. The Los Alamitos Show Choir went to New York City to compete at the Heart of America Nationals competition. I had the immense pleasure of seeing Mrs. D'Angelo and Mr. Forehand in the audience all the way in New York City to cheer us on. Soundtracks, the Advanced Treble Group, got first runner-up with caption awards of Best Visuals and Best Costumes. Sound Effects, the Advanced Mixed Group, got first place overall, sweeping the competition with caption awards of Best Vocals, Best Visuals, and Best Costumes. However, that's not all the winning that the arts had in these last couple weeks. This last weekend, our drama program took a bus to Upland, California for a state drama competition. They pulled much of the competition in their favor, securing multiple scholarships for students. Their Act 1 got first place, getting them state championship. They also got first place for improv. One of their group acting groups got second place with a scene called Fresh Brewed. They got third place in costume design, and overall, it was a very fruitful weekend for our drama program. Finally, our student spotlight. Miley Fox is a sophomore at Los Alamitos High School. In school, she's involved in the show choir group Soundtracks as a dance captain, and she's a swing for the group Sound Effects. She takes all honors classes and one AP class at the high school. She's a board member of the Emerging Leaders Club, the Asian Culture Club, and she's part of the Women in STEM Club. Outside of school, she enjoys spending time with her friends and family, working out, and she babysits and dog sits around her neighborhood. She loves to travel with her family and has been to places such as Bali, Cambodia, Thailand, Singapore, and states all over the U.S. An interesting thing about Miley is that she was born and lived in Hong Kong for 8 years. She attended a bilingual international school and learned how to speak Chinese. She was also a competitive gymnast for 10 years and competed all the way until level 9. Miley is a well-rounded student that completes her rigorous coursework with grace. She never fails to get involved, and she's a perfect example of the 4 A's, values that we hold strong and true at Los Alamitos High School. And with that, I conclude my 10th board report.
Thank you, Alexa.
Thank you.
Moving on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. President, esteemed members of the board. It is always a pleasure to kind of share just some updates from the last board meeting and different interactions and things that I've been a part of. And I have to say, as part of the role as superintendent, my job is to also be out in the community in various functions. And so I serve on Rotary. And as part of Rotary, we were interviewing 16 of our high school students who were applying for Rotary Youth Leadership Awards, which is really a leadership camp. And I was blown away, and so were the rest of the Rotarians, of interviewing our students. The amount of just poise, a level of involvement of our students, both academically, the amount of community service. This community raises exceptional kids who really find ways to support one another and to support the community at large. Is just super uplifting. And then was talking to another community member who was interviewing some of the students for the Youth Center's Night Among the Stars Awards, who shared the same thing. They just could not believe the caliber of the different individual students that we have. And they say, you know, sometimes we think that the youth, and people give a bad rap to youth, but that this country is in great hands because of the exceptional youth that we have that are involved in so many ways. And then, of course, I know yourself and Deputy Superintendent Reed and myself got to interview 3 students who were wanting to be the board member rep for next year. And just once again, the caliber, the level of sophistication and humility and their ability to really just serve. I'm blown away by the amount of community service that our students provide, and so it's really exceptional. I was also proud to be able to be a part of our open houses for our secondary schools. Los Alamitos High School was the first to start off our open house series, and we lifted that off with an 8th grade parent showcase, so people coming in. And it was just exceptional to see the various ways that our students can really get connected and involved in what we talk about, the 4 A's: academics, athletics, activities, the arts, the different clubs, at a variety of different clubs that students could participate in. It was just really special. And then to go and visit our 2 middle schools and to see the exceptional work that our students and our teachers are doing are phenomenal as well. The next thing that I'd like to share is April. As many of you know, so probably most of you see our board members are wearing purple tonight. April is the month of the military child, and it's really just purple is a color to be able to honor our families who have kids who serve in the military. And so we're so grateful for the service. It can be very difficult for families who have parents or others who are in the military, because you can move sometimes, get reassigned to different parts of the country, as well as just the concern about having to serve in that type of a level of service to the country. And so we're just wanting to find ways to continue to lift up and support our children who are part of the military. And I love that our schools, some of our schools really find different ways to kind of acknowledge that along with we're very grateful as well. The military, we have 2 bases within our district boundaries that we serve, and they provide military counselors. So we Magai Elementary, our 2 middle schools, and Los Alamitos High School next year will have a counselor funded by the military to provide support to children who are within the military. And so we just wanted to stop and find a way to acknowledge the exceptional commitment that these families make, and at times the impact that it may have on the youth at the same time. And then lastly, since our last board meeting, as we've been recognizing various employees of the year that we recognize here at the district, 2 of our employees of the year have gone on to receive accolades from the county as well. And so congratulations to one of our classified employees, Corinne Visciano, who is our skilled electrician. I just noticed the spelling there as well. It's Corinne Visciano, who is our classified employee of the year. We recognized him at the workshop, as you heard earlier, but he's also only one of 6 employees of the year throughout the county out of over 76 people to be recognized as the county classified employee of the year. And so the Orange County Board of Education will be looking to recognize the county classified employees of the year later this spring, and we look forward to honor and recognize Corinne again with that. And then also our administrator of the year, CJ Noland, who will be recognizing at our board meeting, next board meeting at the end of April, also received the Orange County Administrator of the Year as a classified central office administrator. And so just has done exceptional work, and we're just so proud to be able to acknowledge some of our exceptional employees. And with that, that concludes my report for this evening.
Okay, moving on to public comments. Oh, board communication, I almost forgot. But I think I'm starting this way this time. Ms. Davidson.
Well, I think that everybody, Alexa and Dr. Pulver and our board president, Mr. Forehand, covered a lot of the activities. So I want to just say thank you to the high school and to all the students who welcomed eighth grade parents to their open house, because I don't know who's more scared to go to high school, the eighth grade students or the eighth grade parents of students, but they felt very welcomed and got to see a lot of ways their kids can get connected. I got to go to McAuliffe's open house, and at 22 years of teaching there, it's where my heart is, and I love seeing what the kids have done and what great accomplishments they've made, and the teachers are so dedicated and staff to making that night special for them. I love the food truck in the middle. Very good food. But I also wanted to thank all of the staff and all of our teachers and administrators for we had longevity pins that we hand out every year for 5 years, 10 years, in 5-year increments. And it's just so wonderful to see the dedication of people who remain at their jobs and want to still continue to give heart and soul to the kids. And so I thank all of those that were honored and all of them that are in between those 5-year increments for the service that they do for our community. I attended the DAC, which is the District Advisory Council meeting with Mrs. Catuli. We really thank Melissa Davis as our director for helping us to understand how best we can meet the needs of our students and how best we can use funding. And so it matters because that committee has parents on it, teachers, administrators. It's a wide variety of people who get to talk about and determine and problem solve and innovate ways to meet the needs of kids who may need support in certain areas and how best to use funding from the state. Okay. Our arts flourished. Like, congratulations to the choir for what happened in New York. It was absolutely outstanding to watch on TV, and we were all shouting and screaming and yelling all day long as you went through it to the end, and it was just a beautiful sight. We also want to thank David Mullenkamp and Moana and their team for pulling together, and Mr. Forehand gave a great explanation of what goes on behind the drapes. But also thank you to Justin Padilla and all of our jazz orchestra music directors for putting on the Spotlight Music Festival. It was absolutely amazing. You begin with the very youngest bands and work through, and for the most part, if somebody comes for the first time, they think those beginning bands are the best. They think they've started with the best and are working it to the novices, but it's not like that. Chuck Wackerman, who is the director of jazz at McAuliffe for a very long time, was honored. He passed away, but he was there when I was teaching. This is a man who could have done so many things in Los Angeles, in New York, anywhere where music flourishes, and yet he chose to be on campuses with kids and cultivating a love and passion for music for them. And it's really amazing because as a teacher, we always argued the big conflict of whether nature and nurture most influences us. And I'd say he's a combination of both, because his family is completely talented, from grandkids to his own children as musicians, as singers. I mean, it was just a natural ability, but I saw him nurture the talents of so many students over the years and really give them a reason to come to school every day. So I really want to thank Justin Padilla and all of those who honored a great man who really blessed our district. The HSA breakfast yesterday is a very wonderful yearly event where awards are given to people in our community that are usually the ones who are making the special events happen, and they're behind the scenes doing all this great work. And for once a year, we get to honor people who give their hearts and don't always get all the thank yous. I have a hard one now, because since our last board meeting, there was another mass shooting in Tennessee, which I don't have to tell anyone anything about. But our kids across the nation are calling on us to make the campuses more safe. And I feel like that's something that you hear religious leaders say over and over again, please stop with the thoughts and prayers. And the backup to the thoughts and prayers is that that faith without works is dead. So unless we start as a nation supporting our children in figuring out how to keep schools safe and how to give them a safe place to be, then we are not acting on our faith. And I want to thank this district, though, because I don't know if people are truly aware of what the forefront work that this district has done with our community and our police force. We are addressing both mental health and campus safety in ways that other communities are looking to for advice, to get advice. We have our well space centers. We've doubled our mental health counselors to meet those needs. Our police officers in Los Alamitos and Seal Beach have run intruder drills in which the police are trained on how best to make our kids safe in a bad situation. And our teachers and staff are being trained on our campuses to be ahead of the game as much as we possibly can. But it's not enough. It's a really great start, but we as a nation cannot claim our freedom if we can't make kids feel free on campus. So I'm just hoping that it's just the beginning and that the things that we've done, I thank Dr. Pulver and I thank Dr. Friedman, the things that we have done, that we don't settle with that we keep going and that we can support other communities in their efforts, and then that somehow we can follow the lead of our children in this nation and do what's right about guns. So that's just something I wanted to say. And then finally, yes, I'm very excited to support the military kids in our community and to see the attention being focused on them. On March 31st, on the campus at Cottonwood Church, there will be a celebration of military families. So if you are a military family or you know military family, please tell them about it because it'll be a wonderful event and they deserve that joy. So thank you. I'm sorry, April 31st. I would have been a little bit day late and a dollar short there. No, April 31st. No, it'd have to. Is that right? There's not 30 days. It's the 29th. Don't count on me to get you to the right place at the right time. Yeah, April 29th. There are not 31 days in April. But tell your military friends it's a celebration of them and how they contribute to our communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President Forham. So Jazz Band Spotlight was tremendous, and Mrs. Davidson and I were there together. And I just also really want to thank all the boosters. A lot of our organizations could not perform and have the kind of events they do without all the parents and all the boosters that support them. And so it was wonderful. They had a lovely dinner beforehand, and they had a silent auction, and just it was just a beautifully run event, and I appreciated that. And then the next day, I got to go to Segerstrom and got to see our orchestra perform. And to me, that's just something really spectacular, because if you've never been there, it is a magnificent concert hall. And to be able to sit on that stage and hear your music performed in the acoustics where it should be is tremendous. So I truly enjoyed that. We have been celebrating some of our distinguished schools, and I guess my home school, or where my sons went to school, is Rossmore Elementary, and I was able to join in the luncheon there and just thank everybody for what they did to really getting that school to a California Distinguished School. Our Interact group, which if you're not familiar with it, it is the young group of Rotarians at the high school. And so they are a philanthropic group that work really hard to raise money for a cause. And they had a great talent show. I was really blessed to get to go because my husband is a Rotarian and he was invited. And we just sat there in awe of the talent on the stage, but not only that, because half of the audience were students, and they were just enjoying each other and supporting each other. And it was a tremendous environment. And then we all got to vote, and that was really kind of cool. We got to vote for the winner. So, and they did a great job. And the MCs did a phenomenal job in between acts while new act was setting up, and they had all this dialogue. And so Mrs. Grimshaw is their leader, and she has done a really great job with that group. So we have a lot of philanthropic groups at the high school, and that makes me really proud because I believe that is one of the greatest gifts in life, is to be able to give back. And so we start our students from a very young age doing that. And then I'm just finishing, like Mr. Foreham usually says, finishing with students from the perspective of my husband again, does a big Easter egg hunt for our community. And we usually, personally, my husband and I stuff 600 Easter eggs. And we got a little smarter this year, and we asked for volunteers. And so we had 2 middle school children and then 2 children from Rossmore. And just to be in their presence and to watch them connect, and they're so smart, and the conversations they were having just amazed me because they were really academic but fun and science-based. And it was just, I'm just so privileged to serve as a board member for this district, and it's amazing students. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to say, the choir show was incredible. I watched it online. It was unbelievable. If you get a chance, you should watch it. The commentators were very entertaining. They were hilarious and couldn't be more effusive in their praise of the LoSal choir. They were incredible. Got to attend the PTA PTA breakfast. Just thank you to all of the hard work that they do. This school district is only as good as the people in it and all the different components, from the students to the staff to the community members. So thank you to the PTA and all those parents that drive you here and there and put in all the hard work. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The dance show, it's awesome. I went last year. Hopefully they won't have the young ladies with the ropes that are about 30 feet off the ground, because my heart was in my chest because there wasn't anything underneath them but the stage. But the dance show was incredible. You really would be surprised at how well they performed, considering it's high school. It was fantastic. Congratulations to the drama. I mean, just so many wonderful programs we have, and the arts that are so strong. And one quick thank you to Miss Claire. She was a young lady that came to the board and told us, for me, was new information about honoring military families and to wear purple. So I just want to say thank you again, Claire, and also speedy recovery. Just be careful when you go snowboarding with your dad, all right?
Thank you, President Forehand. I'm going to start by reporting on my ROP meeting, which is my adjunct duty that I do as a board member of this board, and it's with Career Technical Education. North Orange County ROP has received from AB 130, which is a COVID-19 supplemental funding, $13.9 million, which for our ROP is a lot of money. So they now have this money that they need to spend, and they can do it on equipment, salaries, COVID mitigation, and but they have to spend it by a certain time. And then, because it is so much money, they wanted to make sure that they were doing it with as much equity as possible. ROP classes are held on, there's 5 school districts who are part of this consortium. And within each of the 5 school districts, except for Brea and LaSalle, there's several high schools. So Brea and LaSalle school districts each only have 1 high school. But Fullerton, Anaheim, and Placentia Yorba Linda have several. So they were trying to figure out a way so that they could distribute this money and purchase equipment and to renovate the rooms in such a way that there was true parity. And it was very interesting when they were talking about it, because we have a couple of high schools that have an automotive class, and one of the high schools has a really large, like double room, and they have all this great equipment. And this other one is in a tiny room, and they can't even buy half of the equipment because there's no place to put it. But that's not fair for the kids in that particular classroom. And then, like with our culinary, we'll have culinary. They have a professional kitchen and culinaries that look like they're in a teacher's lounge with a microwave. And so they were trying to figure out, no, we have to get in. It was all these industry standards. And they did an incredibly thorough research throughout all 5 school districts. And it was just really impressive. This is obviously one-time money. We're not going to get this again. So it needs to be spent as wisely as possible. And I just, I have real kudos to the administration that also worked with the administrators at each school site to see what the kids really needed in the classrooms and also with the teachers. So I just was very impressed with it, and I just wanted to share that with everybody. Also, continuing on with career tech education, our celebration of success is coming up, and we will be having a career technical student of the year from Los Alamitos. We'll not tell you who that is, but again, when you're interviewing our students, they're impressive, and it's hard to make a decision. So, but congratulations to everybody who was nominated. Then basically I did everything everybody else did: walkthroughs, longevities, open houses, PTAs, and the HSA breakfast. And I just want to do another shout out to the PTA Council and PTAs in general. You guys are really the backbone of the volunteers in our schools, and you get a lot of things going that we wouldn't have if we couldn't count on the parent volunteers that come on a daily basis. So I know whether you were recognized or not by your PTA, please feel recognized by this board now, because LaSalle wouldn't be LaSalle without you. That's okay.
Thank you. As Meg and everybody said, we celebrated longevity. I took walks through the campuses at Rossmore and LAE, and I think Marlis and I were there for both those. We belong to SELPA, so my very brief SELPA report is a congratulations. They've announced their CAC recognition awards, and we have 5 from Los Alamitos District, 4 at the high school: Nathan Berger, Karen Maffett, Matthew Mideau, Hayden Moy, and 1 at Hopkinson, Jean Ruiz. So congratulations to them. They make a difference for our kids with special needs. Before traveling to New York, I got to help with Extravaganza, which is a whole new learning for me. We hosted schools for choir competition, and it was 2 grandparents and myself that did the tickets, and we were awesome. I turned into Papa and attended Lee's 5th grade performance for my grandson. And thank you to Mrs. McEldry and all the music teachers for making our kids totally shine. I was at the Honorary Service Awards breakfast, and I want to end my report by, as I always do, with a kid shout out. But this is a kid shout out to Kaya, Molly, Juju, Miles, and Connor, and the video that Mrs. Pichardo created with the staff at Hopkinson. They were awesome, and their narrators were equally awesome. So thank you, and that ends board communication. Moving on. Public comments. We have 13 cards, and we'll discuss that in a minute. The board welcomes input from the public. This is the opportunity for community members to provide public comment to the board on agenda items or items not listed in the agenda. Persons wishing to address the board should complete a speaker request card prior to the start of each meeting. Each speaker is limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. Public comment is limited to a total of 30 minutes. So with now 14 cards, we'll have to decide, do we want to let everybody have their 3 minutes? Because that would exceed the 30 minutes that we've allotted.
I think we should. It's not that great of an extension. I think we should allow everybody to speak for the full 3 minutes. It's not that long anyway. It just seems like it would be easy to accommodate everybody speaking.
Okay. Everybody agree? Okay. A speaker may not relinquish his or her time to another. When addressing the board, speakers are requested to address the board from the podium, state their name, and adhere to the time limits. The board may not take any action or discuss any item not appearing on the posted agenda and cannot immediately respond to public comments. Speakers are cautioned that under California law, no person is immune from liability for making intentionally false or defamatory comments regarding any person simply because those comments are made at a public meeting. So we will begin with Stephanie Tellez.
Good evening, my name is Stephanie Tellez, and I'm a parent to a 7th grader at Oak, an 8th grader in another district who will also be at the high school this year, and an 11th grader currently at Los Al High. I happen to also have graduated from Oak Middle School in Los Al, and I'm a former Los Al Unified employee as an instructional assistant at Weaver, as well as a K-1 autism teacher at McGaw. I did leave after my first year and taught special education for 15 years in another district. And you might be wondering what motivated me to come here tonight. My youngest son came home to me in January of this year and told me if he heard the N-word on campus again, he would probably end up in a fight. And as a former educator, I knew I had to be proactive and address this immediately. I met with Oak admin, and I have even had the pleasure of meeting with Dr. Friedman after inviting him to a meeting with both Oak admin. And I genuinely feel that at all the meetings I have had recently with the school site admin and district, everyone wants to be part of a change where all students feel safe at school, are free from bullying, and educators have the tools to support zero tolerance policies for racist discriminatory behavior. But I do not believe this district has provided them with the resources and the tools to make it happen. I'm here to hold you accountable to the diverse students and community you serve, to do your job and support changing the current school climate as if your own children were experiencing what my children go through. Earlier tonight, we heard Mr. Forham's comment about equity for all, and that should lead you all to investigate what's really happening at your middle schools and your high school and your elementaries. I was here last week to hear Mrs. Davidson say, celebrate the whole child and celebrate diversity, and I agree with her. Education is more than academics and test scores. If your current disciplinary policies were effective, including the Saturday school students are required to attend when they engage in hateful racist behavior, then our children would not be here tonight to tell their stories. I do not expect to change how a child is raised in their home, but no child should be subjected to the racist behavior that goes on at middle school because it makes a teacher or an admin uncomfortable to address, or worse, they do not have the training to know how to respond. Train your staff, do better. I sat here last week and heard Mrs. Catulli talk about the power of yet, and now this is your chance to step up and do better. I hope you hear from my heart tonight that I am Los Al, and I know there are positive things happening in this community and on school campuses, but we can no longer ignore the trauma many students of color on a daily basis deal with. I happen to carpool a group of young Black students to school periodically, and the stories they share would shock you, but are normal for us. But this is not the same generation of parents that raised us. We will not take anything less than our children being respected and treated with dignity at school. What I am asking for is that you provide district-wide training to all staff on true restorative practices so students can begin to heal, promote and expand ethnic studies classes at high school level, rather than discuss how you could possibly water down or incorporate ethnic studies into English classes in the future. Enforce your own board policies around hate speech and follow California Education Code 2335. Take a look at the community schools model just down the street in Anaheim and get student input on what makes kids feel good at school. Thank you.
Thank you. Alana Vasquez.
So, hello, this is not my first time here. I was here last week, and I don't know if I really need to introduce myself again, but I just wanted to thank you guys for addressing my claim. I had a meeting with Dr. Friedman last week. He seemed very sympathetic to my claims, but that's not necessarily the issue. I'm grateful this happened, but the thing is like that this has gone on for too long, and I feel like it took too much upheaval and commotion to really feel like something was going on behind the scenes, and I don't think it should have required this much action to kind of know that my concerns were being taken that seriously. Because I know for a lot of other students, it feels as though once they kind of speak up, it's kind of tossed to the side almost. And no student should feel like that, especially if you're trying to make it a safe space for everybody. And Mr. Friedman mentioned like the 4-hour Saturday school with the restorative justice process and the human resources teacher. And he also mentioned that a lot of students don't go. So when a lot of students are kind of exposed to cultural sensitivity as a punishment, they are less likely to take it or to kind of use it as an opportunity to grow. Therefore, I think it should be part of more of a normalized curriculum and less destigmatized. So as Ms. Taya said, more teachers should know how to handle these situations rather than kind of just almost pushing it to the side and kind of moving it up the ladder on admin. And especially for the future Griffins and those who are here today, who are going to speak later, this should be a space like the cycle shouldn't continue. This should be a space where they feel safe and respected and shouldn't have to go through the things that their peers go through. Whether they've seen it, they've gone through it, it shouldn't be things that are happening at school. And it should just be part of the integrated normal curriculum rather than trying to shove it into an English class. So therefore, once again, once the standard is met for each and every student, then LoSal will succeed in the equity policy you guys claim yourselves on. So thank you.
Hi, I'd like to start with citing the Education Code 2335. Each teacher is also encouraged to create and foster an environment that encourages pupils to realize their full potential, that is free from discriminatory attitudes, practices, events, or activities in order to prevent these acts of hate violence as defined in Subdivision E. My name is Rose Tadros, and I'm here regarding my 3 children that currently attend Oak Middle School, and I wanted to share what my children have dealt with during their tenure as students at Oak Middle School. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. Unfortunately, the lack of support, unanswered emails, and response from administrators regarding my pleas for action in terms to rectifying these ill actions towards my children and others, which by today's turnout lets me know that we're not alone. Here are a few examples. Zaylee is 13 years old. She attended all 3 years at Oak Middle School thus far and is currently in the 8th grade. All 3 years, she's endured racial slurs and jokes. The remarks are always about the color of her skin. And she was even asked one time why her hair looks like a slave. The consequence for that was a Saturday school. Voluntary. My son is 13 years old and is in 7th grade at Oak Middle School. He's dealing with being called the N-word and a monkey. The consequence for that is a Saturday school, optional. My son Cash is 12. He's currently in the 6th grade at Oak. Just 2 weeks ago, he was sexually assaulted and called the N-word. I was only made aware of the sexual assault after I demanded that the school give me a statement of the incident. It took Oak 3 days to provide me with a statement. The consequence for that child, a Saturday school. Earlier this year, a student went as far as to put his fist in the air and kneel in front of Cash and tell him Black lives don't matter. This morning, as I was speaking with my kids, Cash made me aware of yet another incident. A student asked him, does he wear white gloves when he eats chocolate? Because how would he know if he had chocolate on his hands? The only consequence for using a racial slur, which is a hate crime, is a Saturday school and a call home. It sends the wrong message when a student is back in the class 5 minutes later after calling my children a racial slur. There needs to be a zero tolerance policy like many universities have. In 2020, at the University of Tennessee, a video surfaced of an incoming freshman by the name of Mimi Groves calling somebody an N-word on video. Her consequence? She was fully removed from the school for that one video. It is my opinion, and the opinion of many in this room, that this school district needs to adopt a similar standard of consequences. It is also my opinion that the district needs to have more inclusive activities so that students of color feel like they're part of this community. My time's up. Thanks.
Thank you. Chris Green.
Good evening. My name is Chris Green, parent of Cash Green, Zaylee Green, step-parent of Jordan Adams. Rose, she pretty much just ran down everything in detail about what's been going on the past 3 years. I moved to Los Alamitos around 4 years ago, and the big reason why I moved here was for the school district. Like we all know, Los Alamitos is known as a pristine school district with public schools even rivaling private schools. So I wanted to take advantage of that. What I didn't expect was the mass amounts of racism that's enriched in the school, with the kids. Now, I'm not blaming the kids because I know racism is passed down, is learned. No one's born racist, but what I am having a problem with is how the school is dealing with it. Because like the old saying goes, you spare the rod, you spoil the child. If kids aren't disciplined for what they do wrong, they never grow to learn what's right. And from what I've seen, it's pretty much a free-for-all. Like you can literally say whatever you want, call them any type of racial slur, and 5 minutes later, they're back in class, saying the same things again multiple times. So what I propose is more of a zero tolerance policy that parents can actually see in black and white, because when I had meetings with the school or sent emails, the only response I got was, well, we can't tell you what we're doing, but we'll promise we'll do something. But the action never changes. So I think there should be something that parents can see, like, okay, this is the first time he said it, this is step one. Okay, this is the second time he said it, this is step two. Something that we could follow to make sure people are being held accountable for their actions. Because right now is literally zero accountability besides Saturday school that's optional. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Sonrisa Dar, is that correct?
Hi, I'm Sonrisa Dar, and I'm a senior that attends Los Alamitos High School, and I'm a member of the Ethnic Studies Club. I've seen and experienced the racial harassment that goes on in the school. I've also seen how the staff members are quick to dismiss the racial harassment that happens, despite how prevalent of an issue this is on our campuses. There's one specific instance that I remember that happened my sophomore year that highlights how little effort is put into making sure that the people of color in this community are safe. On Instagram, I noticed that there's a new Instagram account in my recommendations, and I tapped on it, not expecting what I saw next. There were multiple racist posts with the N-word, with the ER at the end, as well as posts dehumanizing LGBT and people of color. I was appalled by the raw hate that was in my recommendations, and I noticed that it was following multiple people from the high school. So me and a friend, my friend, I, as well as my friend, got curious as to who this could be. We did some research and we eventually found out who this person was. My friend showed this to this teacher because they had shared a class with the person who had created the page. We believed that this type of behavior was completely unacceptable, and especially when there are so many marginalized groups that attend our school. It was the school's responsibility to issue the proper punishment for these actions, otherwise it sends the message that this is acceptable. The teacher attempted to bring this issue up with officials higher up, but ultimately there were no consequences because this had happened outside of campus. And there's just a lack of communication in general. Los Alamitos High School says that they stand for making sure that every student feels as if they belong, but actions speak louder than words. I've noticed this pattern throughout my 4 years of being here. I have been harassed because of my identity as well as the peers around me, and the perpetrators get away with it scot-free despite the policies of the school. What does this say about the values of our district? As a community, we need to do better and make sure that students know that they're safe on campus. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Natalie Hill?
Hello everyone, my name is Natalie Hill. I'm a senior at Los Alamitos High School. My fellow students and I are here because of the unaddressed problem with hate speech, racism, and homophobia at Los Alamitos Unified Schools. I hear the hate in the hallways and in classrooms. What infuriates me is the inaction on the behalf of Los Alamitos Unified. I have heard racial slurs in classrooms and hallways and nothing has happened. I have heard every racial slur like the N-word hurled loudly and casually between white students. I've also witnessed my friends being bullied for their ethnicity. I've witnessed my friends who identify as LGBTQ being harassed at lunch because of their identity. These behaviors are not what we aspire to be, nor should they be tolerated in a public school. These incidents happen without any adult supervision or intervention. Los Alamitos High takes pride in its image, and its programs such as Just Say Hello and Guam. Yet, the same school also turns a blind eye to the pressing issues on campus. Los Alamitos High School Ethnic Studies has reached an audience where we are spreading awareness, kindness, and empathy on campus. The lack of clear consequences, no zero tolerance policies, lack of action, and improper teachings of the experiences from the perspective of colored people have enabled students to use hate speech and discriminatory actions casually. Teaching young individuals empathy and accountability will help students understand that their words and actions that they view as a joke hurt their peers. Creating and supporting an ethics studies club and class at the middle school will create a safe space for these students to learn empathy and heal from these traumatic experiences that they should not experience in school. Hiring staff to work full-time, training teachers and admin so they are equipped to help students grow and feel safe in their learning environment. These students would be more engaged with their classes and feel safe to participate without the fear of feeling inferior to their classmates, being harassed or being harmed by their peers and fellow Griffins. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Alicia Tan?
Good evening. My name is Alicia Tan. I am currently a senior at Los Alamitos High School, and I'm part of the Ethnic Studies Club. I've been in this district for all 13 years of my schooling. I've come to share my thoughts and experience in support of the other parents and students here tonight who have come to speak on their own experiences with racial discrimination. There are roughly 6,000 hours in a year. Kids spent about 1,000 hours of those hours in school. I've been in school for 13 years now. That's around 13,000 hours. Over these countless years and countless hours, I've learned that I have a voice and it's important for me to use it. Unfortunately, I can't thank the school for that. For the 13 years I've been at school here, my voice and the voices of all the people around me have been ignored. In middle school, I watched one of my really close friends get bullied for being different from others. I watched them go to teachers, counselors, begging for help. I watched their parents do the same. They went through hell just trying to be heard. And what did the bully get? Basically nothing. The staff scolded him and sent him back to class, but nothing else was done. In high school, I faced racial prejudice and felt powerless to say anything. I had a kid say, I speak Asian, ching chong ching, to me and a Japanese exchange student that I was hosting in the middle of class. I had a coach from an opposing team at a school sporting event call me a communist because I'm Chinese. And through those remarks, I never even considered telling a staff member because I knew it wouldn't do anything. I knew I could try my best, but in the end, all those people would receive was a slap on the wrist before being sent on their way, because I've seen it happen with my friends, my peers, and so many others. 13,000 hours of school, and I had to learn on my own time, in my own research, in my own consumption of the media, that I have a voice and that my voice has meaning. I learned from watching teen activists like Malala, Greta Thunberg, and Naomi Wadlers. They had to go against the entire system to have their voices be heard. The saddest part is I am one of the few kids at my school who feels like their voice has meaning. Every child should feel like they have a voice. None of us should feel muffled. Schools should teach empathy, integrity, and accountability. I and other students shouldn't have to be the ones to tell kids that they shouldn't say slurs and that they shouldn't make racist jokes and that they shouldn't bully. The school should be teaching that. I urge you to listen to my voice, my peers' voice, all of these parents' voices. Listen to our voices. Listen to what we have to say about this district school system. There should be support clubs formed and sustained at the middle school level. There should be zero tolerance and clearly outlined consequences for hate speech. And there should be mandatory professional development for educators of true restorative practices. Thank you.
Thank you. Charlize Fan?
Hi, I'm Charlize. I'm a junior at Los Al, and I'm here to bring light on the racism that students in this district have experienced. I'm personally privileged to never experience racial slurs and physical bullying, but I have dealt with stereotypes and microaggressions, which still isn't pleasant. Just because I didn't experience slurs doesn't mean that other students don't. I came here to talk about my sister. We had a conversation about racism, and I was surprised to hear what she went through. In one of their classes, when they play Kahoot, they require you to put a name in the game, and my sister told me that slurs towards Chinese people were used in the game, and one of the slurs was used as Ching Chong losers, and it was concerning because this happened more than once. It happened 3 times, and the fact that the teacher didn't do anything was even more concerning because the teacher is supposed to know better and be the authority, and they didn't do anything when racism was happening in their own classroom. In addition, last year, she was also addressed by a group of boys as a yellow Asian monkey, and they proceeded to mock her ethnicity and even called her Lightning Machink. And these harmful forms of discrimination comes off as a joke to these kids, but to minorities, it's tiring that their differences are used as a joke. And it's important to teach students to understand that their racist words and actions shouldn't be tolerated. And as a school, students should feel safe, and a lot of minorities don't have this luxury. And I'm hoping that students and teachers and staff recognize that racism does exist and actually acknowledge it and have conversations, because when you ignore racism, nothing will ever happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Zayla Green.
She had to use the restroom. I'm going to speak on her behalf because she's scared to talk.
Oh.
I'm her auntie. Zaylee has been through so much turmoil and mental anguish from racial slurs. I've been to the school, nothing happens, and it has affected her mentally. And that's sad that I'm hearing that all these children are going through this, and it's 2023. And I'm an educator, I work for LAUSD, and we have zero tolerance, and I'm not understanding what's going on and why this is an issue year after year after year. We need some diversity on the panel, because you need some input on how to deal with this. And you guys, if you've never experienced it, you really don't understand the way people of color understand. So I would ask if you can get some diversity on the board, that would be a help, because it starts from the top and goes down to the bottom. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Elia Carrillo.
Hello, my name is Elia Carrillo, and I'm a 7th grade student at Oak Middle School. I began my kindergarten at Lee Elementary. Over the span of a few months, I've experienced racist language directed at me by my classmates. In December, a classmate called me a border hopper after I answered yes when he asked me if I was Mexican. Almost everyone around us was shocked and viewed it as a terrible thing. What I think was one of the worst things, though, was I simply didn't care. I had seen it as just any other insult. I found it horrifying that other kids may have had the same thought process as me. How many kids were called terrible things based on their race and wrote it off as just any other thing? How has it become so normalized and ordinary to call someone, a Mexican no less, a border hopper? It should have mattered more, and I knew it. When I told my parents, I was shocked to see their reaction. They seemed furious. After an email sent to the school, nothing changed. The very next day, I walked into class. My friends told me that another boy had just said to everyone that every day is Taco Tuesday for Mexicans. At that point, I could feel my patience start to wane. I was mad. About a week ago, another boy called me a beaner and a cracker. I felt my patience snap. I was angry. I was angry that this boy thought it was all right to call me this. I was angry about how clearly he spoke these words. I have respect for myself. I know my worth, but this boy didn't. I knew by then that I was tired of just shrugging it off and, as an extension, showing that I was fine. I was mad that no one seemed to care about these things, that it was written after some messed up form of boys will be boys. A week later, I talked to my friend about it. She's white. I asked if anyone had singled her out or insulted her based on her race. She answered no, as I anticipated. When I told her that someone she knew had called me a beaner, she was shocked. She had never thought he would say something like that. Now I wonder if maybe she was treated differently, if not better, because she's white. It's not something I'd like to welcome, but still a possibility. I'm scared that now, as middle schoolers, some of us already seem to have this prejudice. What have we been seeing or hearing to possibly make us believe that it's fine? What are their parents teaching them? Why is the district doing nothing about it? It angers me that so many people say these things with no consequences. It It angers me that they walk off and continue with the day happily as if they hadn't just ruined another person's week. I think it's important that the adults around us do something about it. I think we need to have more events so that everyone learns about each other's diverse cultures. I think our school needs more money to support cultural appreciation. Students and parents need to know that this shouldn't be tolerated. My parents didn't move here so I could be called a border hopper and beaner. I wanted to come here to tell you my story and hope that you listen to us and make our district better. Thank you.
Thank you. Yaseng Yang.
Hello again, and thank you for this opportunity to speak. I want to thank all of you for being here, for your courage to speak up. I know my daughters did their share of speaking up when they were at Oak, when there was the Hitler salute, when they were being called terrorists and all that. And you know, Ms. Kominsky was good enough for suspending one child, but when it kept happening, she said, I can't be suspending that many students. Well, then we have an issue, right? But it wasn't addressed. So I know my daughters who are hybrids, they have their fair share of experiences that these students are expressing. In fact, there's an Instagram account that I read, over 100 posts of students, alumni even, talking about their experiences in school with issues that were not addressed. So I encourage you to find that Instagram account, and hopefully it's still up. I am so glad, aren't you glad too, that all this crazy COVID shenanigans is almost over? But what I want to address is three main things. One, this gender unicorn thing that I think is being taught to students in middle school, and I'm really not sure if that's beneficial or harmful to my kids, because right now I'm not even sure what on earth they feel about their breasts, what gender they are, what they're going to do with their lives once they turn 18, and it's a very scary place for a mom to be at. Another thing is the California legislature, I believe, has legislated that a 12-year-old can choose to change their gender without the parents knowing or consent. Is that right? Do you know how horrifying that is for a parent? And so I encourage you to please double check your gender unicorn lessons, and also to give this talking the talk thing that you have made possible at Oak. I absolutely think that's wonderful. Please offer it to younger students, 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, before they hit the 12-year-old, where the state says, okay, basically that we can kidnap your kids from you and let them do and transition as they please. So please, I ask you to not only look at the IG account, but also give this talking the talk a little bit earlier, and also please review the gender unicorn lessons. I am scared for the kids who are coming through the pipeline. Mine are about to finish. This is a stellar school district. I know they're award-winning kids, and they have benefited a lot from this school district. There's a lot of complaints that were not addressed, and I thank you all for all of you, mentioning it, because I think back and I think, oh my God, it went all the way back to junior high. They loved McGaw. McGaw was like a sanctuary compared to what happened in junior high, where the racism, where the Hitler salutes and all that happened. And another thing is, I want you to encourage kids to look beyond a four-year college. There's technical schools, there's vocational schools. My senior is she's lost, she's scared, she has this FOMO thing, like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to a four-year college, what's gonna happen? What happens is she's going to a great year in Israel, and I think that's better than going straight into a four-year college. Maybe she's going to a vocational school, technical school. There's other options. Please educate and encourage them to take those pathways. Thank you.
Thank you. Matt Simmons.
Hi, yeah, my name is Matthew Simmons, and I'm a parent of two children over in the Los Alamitos Unified School District, and that was very difficult to hear. And I applaud, the parents and the students for speaking up, because, when there's hate crimes or things, there's a lot of victims in place. It's not just the recipient of what was said; it's the entire community, because people see it. And the worst thing is if it's being taught that that's acceptable or that's okay or there's not repercussions, that affects everybody. That's why, it becomes like kind of a hostile environment. But I think accountability for anything is just very, very important. On a lighter note, I just wanted to thank the board for responding and listening to the parents regarding science camp. My son went to 5th grade science camp, had a great time, felt very, well by the teachers, and they just did a phenomenal job. And also that was in response to 2 very brave parents for speaking up. And it wasn't easy for them because they were, we had a high school teacher speak out against them publicly on Facebook, kind of mock them. They got, there's a Instagram page that was, attacking them publicly with their photos on there. And they had the audacity for speaking up to protect their children. They felt it was an unsafe situation at the previous camp at Pali Institute. And one of the school districts they had a lot of parents at another school district, Beverly Hills Unified School District, reach out to them, and the school did not listen to the parents in that case. In Los Alamitos, we changed camps, and they just sent out an email to their entire school district saying it's come to our attention that inappropriate behavior by Pali Institute employee occurred at the Pali Institute camp in the 8th grade camp this week, and this happened publicly in a group setting during the trip. So just, that could have been our kids. And as a result and I think parents and the involvement and people speaking up is what makes the school better. And so rather than the natural reaction sometimes would be to push away criticism, but I think the most important thing is to listen to the parents, which in this case we did, and it wasn't, so I think as a result, our kids had a great time at the 5th grade camp. It was a very positive experience. And if we would have just been doing the same thing over and over, not listening to the parents or community input, may not have been the same situation. So I just wanted to thank everybody for being responsive. So thank you.
Thank you. Stacy Muller.
Hi, everyone. I am emotional hearing that you guys have been going through this. It's unacceptable, and I hold the board accountable. And this is something I've mentioned many times. I kind of have a big mouth, and I stand up here and speak sometimes. And a lot of the times I've said that the accountability of this school with all of you doesn't exist. We have a problem. This is unacceptable that these people, look at everybody here. How is this possible that they're going through this every day? How could you sit there and not do something? And I've heard of this being a problem before. And there's drugs in the bathroom. You have a racial problem. This is unacceptable. I can't believe. I got to tell you, I'm going to run for school board. And I want to change everything. I really do. One person is too many to be having this problem. One person. I expect change. We expect change. I don't want to hear Saturday volunteer class. It's unbelievable to me. I'm mortified that you are dealing with this. Absolutely mortified. You don't deserve this. I love you all for speaking up, but I got to tell you, I'm going to stand up for you people, every one of you. I am effing so mad right now. How dare you allow this to go on? I know you know about this. You got emails. They've all said they've emailed you. What are you doing? How in the hell can you possibly let this slide? You're letting down a whole community. And you sit up here and talk about how wonderful things are. It's not wonderful, okay? And I get sick of the PR. And when I run for school board and hopefully win, we're not going to have a PR moment about how great everything is. I want to know what's going on in the school, in the classroom. I want to know everything. You should never have to deal with this, ever. And if you guys should all resign if you don't take care of this tomorrow. I'm serious. How dare you put these people in this position that go to school to learn? What is wrong? This is an epidemic. This place is filled. I'm absolutely mortified. You need a meeting, you need a big meeting, a town hall, you need to talk to these people and figure out what you need to do to fix this problem, and you need to do it now. Okay, you are on record as hearing from everybody, not just emails being sent. You better fix it. I'm serious, this is unacceptable. No one should have to go through this, okay? I'm so sick of you guys. I'm seriously upset. This is not okay. And they're talking to you. They're asking for help. It is up to each and every one of you sitting here. You're all being held accountable.
Thank you. And our last speaker is Andrew Tellez.
Good evening, school board. My name is Andrew Tellez, and I'm a student at Oak Middle School. I've been attending Oak for roughly 2 years, and my experiences have varied tremendously. Excuse me. I've had many very positive experiences, but also many very negative ones. These negative experiences include being called the N-word numerous times, being told I would be whipped, yelled at by peers to pick cotton, and being called a monkey, jigaboo, and other racist terms. One day in around January, I was fed up with all this racist behavior and decided to tell my mom about all the things that I had been experiencing for the last year or so. I told my mom that I was annoyed and upset and that the next time anyone says anything like that to me again, I'm gonna fight. I never told a teacher about my peers' behavior because in my mind, the actions of other students cannot be changed solely based off the consequences given by teachers and staff. I feel this way because many of my fellow classmates don't see detentions, Saturday schools, or even suspensions as punishments. I don't have any idea on how to stop this immature behavior because realistically, these kids aren't going to change their behavior unless a drastic change is set in place. Please take into consideration how me and many others feel and how we have managed to maintain our composure when speaking to in a derogatory way. I'm honestly very upset that little to no change has occurred and how teachers and staff seem to brush off the fact that racism is occurring all around campus and in their classrooms. Thank you for your time, and please do something to help.
Thank you. And just as a reminder, the board may not take any action or discuss any item not appearing on the posted agenda, but we can refer to Dr. Pulver.
Yeah, it does get difficult to be able to speak specifically, but it is always powerful for us to be able to hear from our students, from our families, and the experiences that they've had. Obviously, I wish we had a magic list of things that we could do to really change society as a whole, particularly individuals here within our Los Al community. And I will say that we've taken many steps, but clearly it's still not enough. I know when we met with many students and families a few years ago who also expressed this, some of the things we had pledged, we had honored about investing and providing training for all of our staff and implicit bias training that all of our staff had gone through. I know our secondary schools have put in a lot of training. We've used the Howard Group as well to provide training for our staff. 3 years ago, when we had pledged to come together to create our ethnic studies course before the state even required it. At that time too, this concept of the restorative practices became something that we really dove deep into and need to continue to dive deeper in. Particularly as I'm hearing from many of our students tonight and our families about trying to train more of our teachers within those restorative practices and those opportunities. One of the things that came to light when we had our human relations, had a few different iterations of the task force and our human relations council, was that when acts of racism and discrimination occur, at times, so many times, society and even ourselves in the past focus so much on the punitive and focusing on the punishment, and not really what do we do to try to teach something, to make it a learning experience. And so that is something that we've created to, when incidents of racism become known to us, that we have, in addition to the restorative practice, and if there is a disciplinary consequence, that what I'm hearing some people talk about, this 4-hour Saturday school. It's not a Saturday school it's really a 4-hour session where we use outside consultants to provide training on how to the effects of what those racist behaviors are. And so that's in addition to the consequence to try to help restore some of those incidents, because if we don't teach kids the impact of the words and the actions and things of that sort, we're really not going to ultimately change behavior. Clearly, it sounds like we have more to do. I know our high school staff as well. A lot of their professional development has been relegated towards that. We work a lot with how can making sure that our students have at least one caring adult that they can go and feel safe to talk to. And that's discouraging to hear if some of our students still feel as though they may not have a caring adult who thinks that is trusted, that then can make a difference in that. And so I would ask you to continue to share your voices with us, with your site administrators, and we will continue to work on to address this, because yes, it is important to us. It's not just something that we fall blind to. Even with, against some people's perspectives too, we've provided training from the Long Beach Gay and Lesbian Center to provide trainings for our teachers as well, because we also know some of our students who are within the LGBT community really feel as well marginalized and impacted, and so we have tried to provide more training and support for teachers in that light as well, and staff, and we're committed to doing more.
Before we move on to our consent agenda, Ms. Alexa, do you have homework that you'd like to move on? You're okay? Okay, good. All right. We have information and presentations. Ms. Galicia, presentation of Measure K and Measure G Citizens Bond Oversight Committee Annual Report for 21-22.
Great. Thank you, Mr. President. Make sure that Janet Murphy is here. There she is. Thank you very much. Well, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our current Citizens Bond Oversight Committee Chair, Janet Murphy, who will be presenting to the board our 21-22 CBOC Annual Report. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Janet for her willingness to serve as chair of the committee for the past 4 years, and who has done an amazing job in leading our CBOC meeting. So thank you so much, Janet. On top of everything else that you do, she was honored yesterday at the breakfast, and I was amazed to hear how committed you are in the PTA, and then on top of that, serving as our chair. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you. It has been an honor and a privilege to be in this position. Good evening, members of the board and Dr. Pulver, and thank you for the warm welcome, Ms. Galicia. My name is Janet Murphy, and I have a little speech prepared I'm going to read. I am the chairperson of the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee, also known as the CBOC. The Citizens Bond Oversight Committee was established as a result of Measure G, a local bond measure being approved by the voters way back, it seems a long time ago, in the November 2018 election. The passage of the bond measure necessitated the formation of this committee. The district put out the call to the community for volunteers. This past year, there were 9 committee volunteers. Each member went through submitting an application, sitting for an interview, and then they were appointed to this committee by the school board. So these are dedicated volunteers who've given a lot of their time. I want to recognize our 9 members this last year: Keith Crafton, Trini Jimenez, Brett Lorber, Brady Metcalf, Lorraine Navarro, Marilyn Poe, Porvi Trevetti, Chad Stewart, and myself. And I would also like to welcome our newest member. She just recently attended her first CBOC meeting, Christine Coxhill. So thank you, Ms. Coxhill, for joining us and volunteering your time. A lot of us will be terming out, so we really appreciate a new member. And then as your outgoing chair, I'd also like to introduce to you all, he couldn't be here tonight, but our current newly elected CBOC chairperson is Keith Crafton. Keith was elected our new chair on January 25, 2023, and he has already demonstrated he's a wonderful leader, and our committee could not be in better hands with him going forward. So thank you, Mr. Crafton, for taking on this role going forward. So the duties of the CBOC are threefold: to inform the public about the district's expenditure of bond proceeds generated under Measure K and Measure G. Number 2, to review the expenditure reports produced by the district to ensure that bond proceeds are expended only for the purposes set forth in the measures and not for teacher or administrative salaries or other operating expenses. And number 3, what brings me here tonight to present to the Board of Education an annual written report, which shall include a statement indicating whether the district is in compliance with the requirements of certain sections of the California Constitution, and also provide a summary of the CBOC's proceedings and activities the preceding year. So tonight, I am here on behalf of our entire committee to present the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee annual report for fiscal year 2021-2022. Leading up to tonight, the CBOC had meetings January 26, 2022, March 30, 2022, October 12, 2022, January 25, 2023, and most recently last week on March 29th. We also had a tour of the STEM building April 20th, 2022. At our second to last committee meeting in January, the CBOC was presented with the annual audit by Brian Ruff of Eide Bailey, an independent auditing firm. Mr. Ruff presented the financial and performance audits for measures K and G to the CBOC, and in the audit it states, quote, "In our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the building fund, measure K and G, of the Los Alamitos Unified School District as of June 30, 2022, and the respective changes in financial position for the year then ended in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America," close quote. Just basically saying, you guys knocked it out of the park, you did everything you were supposed to do. So Mr. Ruff answered our questions posed to him, and these Measure K and Measure G final audit reports are available for review online at the school district website, losal.org, under the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee tab. This website also contains up-to-date information on all of our activities. So in conclusion, the CBOC finds the Los Alamitos Unified School District to be in compliance with the requirements of Article 13A, Section 1B3 of the California Constitution. Now, in conclusion, having presented the annual report for 2021-2022 of the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee to the Los Alamitos Board of Education, the CBOC would like to thank Dr. Andrew Pulver, Elvia Galicia, CJ Noland, who's somewhere, and Myra Gonzalez and Shoshana Dornblazer for all of their assistance throughout our fourth term. We've been provided with rapid responses to all of our requests for information and clarification. It has been a pleasure working with all of them to achieve our stated mission. And finally, the committee would also like to extend our gratitude to you, the members of the Board of Education, for your service. So thank you all for sitting through our report. And once again, I just want to thank all of you here, and a special thanks to every member of the committee. So thank you.
Thank you, Janet. Any questions? Ms. Catulli?
Okay, Janet, thank you so much, because this is a lot of numbers. And so we have to have people who like numbers on the committee. And I think it's very important that we have community people, even though it's very prescriptive what community people we're supposed to have on the committee, but to verify that we are doing what we said we were going to do with the money. And I appreciate the time that you put into this and everything else you do.
Thank you. I'll pass on all your comments to the committee too.
Mr. President, I just want to echo the thanks and gratitude to this community who has taxed themselves over 2 different times to really invest in the long-term facilities that we provide for our students and also for this community, and that the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee really is just a committee to ensure that we are good stewards of the public's dollars, because these are tax dollars that people have put on their property taxes, and they get nothing for it. It's a complete volunteer service, and just the amount of community member support that they provide and oversight is greatly appreciated. And as we know, last week when we had, last week when we had a workshop regarding some of our facility projects, how we saw so many of them were under budget, and so that allows other dollars to be allocated back that are bond dollars for other facility projects. So just want to thank the committee for their oversight, for their volunteering to ensure that we also are doing what we say we're going to do. And it's good to hear that we continue to be good stewards for the community's dollars.
Thank you, Janet.
Thank you all. Have a great evening.
Moving on to item B, quarterly report on Williams uniform complaints for January 1, 2023 through March 31st, 2023. Dr. Frazier.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm presenting the quarterly Williams report. I'm proud to announce that we don't have any findings, so bringing it forward as presented. Sorry.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions for Joe? Okay, Yahoo. All right, now we're going to consent, and we're going to pull items H and G. And so I'm asking for approval for items 10A through F and I through AG.
I so move.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, 5-0 passes. So let's move on to polls for item G. And that item was approval of an agreement with Orange County Department of Education for Los Alamitos High School students to enroll in Pacific Coast High School during the summer months from June 1, 2023 through August 31, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So move. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion.
I asked to pull this item because it goes back a few years. There's a story to it that goes back a few years that I think is really important to our staff and to our students and to the hard work that was done that was an outcome of this. Many of our students, like Alexa, are stars and involved in so many different arenas that students, and you have 6 periods in a day, so they'll take a class in summer in order to free up an opportunity to do an elective or another AP class or whatever. And so Pacific Coast High School is an alternative to that. But it was pre-COVID when we addressed this, and we had staff talk with us, teachers from the high school. Our district does shine. This district shines academically, sending kids on to 4-year schools and technical colleges. But we also are very careful and work very hard about to develop strong curriculum, to provide great resources, to train our teachers. And I really thank Mrs. Reed and her department for that. So to think about students going off campus to another campus where we really have no control over the quality of the program, that was troublesome to me and to some other board members and to staff. So Mrs. Reed, you developed this great program that I would like you to talk about that is an alternative, and it especially gives opportunities in the area of history. And in a world that now is trying to recreate history and control what's taught in the classrooms, I think it's really hard for me to imagine our kids losing an opportunity to be exposed to the great work at LaSalle. So could you please explain Griffin Connections?
Thank you so much, Mrs. Davidson. I would like to start with saying that it was a large team that created this opportunity for students. And so I was really fortunate to be able to partner with teachers from Los Alamitos High School who had a concern really for our students first. They were very student-centered, and that our students have so many options and a love of the 4 A's, and it is very difficult to fit all the things they're passionate about into a 6-period day. And so they saw larger amounts of students needing to go off campus during the summer. Some of these courses only online at the time, which was very novel pre-pandemic. And they wanted to create an opportunity for those students to still spend time in their classrooms and engage in that civic discourse and curriculum that we do believe is excellent and exemplary at Los Alamitos High School. And so the outcome of many months of conversation was an online hybrid program called Griffin Connections, where our students can take an online history, social science class, world history, U.S. history, and both government and economics over the summer with Los Alamitos High School teachers, so that they don't need to go to an outside vendor, one like Pacific Coast High School, to meet some of those needs. So we're really proud of that program. We're going into our 4th summer. Much like public education, our program has transformed and evolved every summer to more deeply meet the needs of our students. And so we're excited to kick off this year. We've already held a parent meeting. Students have already put in their registration. We're full, which is always wonderful to say that we have 4 full classes of history, social science operating over the summer, where our rising sophomores, juniors, and seniors are able to take a summer course in a hybrid environment. So they have some time on campus, as well as the majority of their course online. So they still can travel and do the things that enrich their lives in other ways, participate in summer camps, work, meet the needs of their family as well, and still open up a space in their schedule and be engaged in the 4As next school year. So I want to say a big thank you to the teachers who have partnered with us to do that work. It's been some time now, but the fruits of that labor are still evident, and we're just really excited that we have the program evolving every year and serving more and more students.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Now move on, to item H, approval of an agreement with Orange County Council, Boy Scouts of America, DBA, Newport Sea Base. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll move approval.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion, Mrs. Davis?
I was the one who pulled this because I really want to thank Melissa Davis and Andrea Reed during this incredibly wet winter that we have all experienced. Two of our schools, McGaw and Rossmore, were not able to attend outdoor science school because they were either snowed in or flooded or mudslided or some other situation like that, or that just the roads were totally impassable and obviously wouldn't be safe to send our students there. The trouble, not only did two of our schools not attend outdoor science school, many other schools all throughout Orange County did not attend outdoor science school because of the weather. So there is now a mad dash to somehow try and get something to take the place of outdoor science school. And so my hat goes off, my kudos, and I'm just so happy we are going to be partnering with the Newport Sea Base. It's not going to be the same thing. It's not an overnight camp, but particularly for more of our beach kids, this will be a really good marine biology concentration opportunity for them. Parents are going to be getting refunds, and they're doing adjunct activities with the students. So while this isn't a perfect solution, this is an extremely good solution. And I just wanted to thank the people I know who spend a lot of time on their computer and on their phone, probably begging and pleading and being as creative as possible. And we have something to offer our kids. Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Moving on. We're going now to action items. First one is adoption of a resolution 2223-19 in recognition of classified employees. I've asked Scott to give us a summary of this resolution. A roll call has to go on. Do you want that now, Tina, or when we vote?
Read it first.
Okay, you're going to read it, Scott.
Resolution number 2022-2023-19. District classified employees. Whereas classified professionals provide valuable service to the students and staff of the Los Alamitos Unified School District and contribute to the establishment and promotion of positive instructional environment and provide a lead role in the welfare and safety of students of the Los Al Unified School District. Whereas classified professionals employed by the Los Alamitos Unified School District strive for excellence by igniting unlimited possibilities for students in all areas related to the educational community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Los Alamitos Unified School District hereby recognizes and wishes to honor the contribution of the classified professionals to quality education in the state of California and in the Los Alamitos Unified School District, and declares the week of May 21st through the 22nd, 2023 as Classified School Employee Week in the Los Alamitos Unified School District.
Thank you, Mr. Fayette. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call. Any further discussion? Roll.
Mr. Fayette.
Aye.
Ms. Gattuli.
Aye.
Mr. Forehand.
Aye.
Mrs. Hill. Aye. Mrs. Davidson.
Aye.
Okay, it passes 5-0. Item B, adoption of a resolution 2022-2023-20 in recognition of Day of the Teacher. Mrs. Davidson.
Okay. Resolution now number 2022-2023-20. Whereas the guidance, support, and inspiration that teachers provide to students is invaluable and contributes tremendously to the well-being of our great nation. And whereas no other profession touches as many people with such a lasting effect And whereas paramount to student success in tomorrow's world is their effective personal and intellectual development, and whereas the educators of the Los Alamitos Unified School District provide the vital lessons that enable our youth to mature and reach their fullest potential. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education and Administration recognize May 10th, 2023 as Day of the Teacher in the Los Alamitos Unified School District, and activities will take place to recognize Los Alamitos Unified School District's teachers who are most sincerely appreciated.
Thank you, Mrs. Davidson. It's been moved and seconded.
I need a second.
I'll second.
Oh, thank you, Ms. Hill. Roll call.
Mr. Fayette.
Aye.
Ms. Cattouli.
Aye.
Mr. Forehand.
Aye.
Mrs. Hill.
Aye.
Mrs. Davidson.
Aye.
Okay, moving on to, it passes 5-0. Moving on to item C, adoption of resolution 2022-2023-21 in recognition of the Day of the Administrator. Mrs. Cattouli.
Proclaiming May 1st, 2023 as the Day of the School Administrator, whereas leadership matters for California's public school education system, and whereas school administrators are passionate, lifelong learners who believe in the value of quality public education. And whereas the title School Administrator is a broad term used to define many education leadership posts, superintendents, assistant superintendents, administrators of instructional programs, school business officials, classified educational leaders, and other school district employees are considered administrators. And whereas providing quality service for student success is paramount for the profession. And whereas most school administrators began their career as teachers, the average administrator has served in public education for more than a decade. Most of California's superintendents have served in education for more than 20 years. Whereas other certified and classified administrators provide leadership and support for the educational program by developing and implementing the curriculum, selecting textbooks and instructional materials, recruiting, training, and evaluating classified and certificated staff, managing the budget and monitoring cost controls, implementing school board policies, and complying with federal, state, and local regulation and laws, planning and maintaining school facilities, and providing transportation, nutrition, and social services to the students and their families. Therefore, now it be resolved by the Board of Education of Los Alamitos Unified School District that May 1st, 2023 be proclaimed the Day of the School Administrator in honor of the many outstanding contributions and services provided by the administrative team and the public schools of this community, and that the administrators of the Los Alamitos Unified School District be commended for their support and contribution to quality education.
Thank you, Ms. Cattouli. Do I have a motion for approval?
Move approval.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call vote.
Mr. Fayette.
Aye.
Ms. Cattouli.
Aye.
Mr. Forehand.
Aye.
Mrs. Hill.
Aye.
Mrs. Davidson.
Aye.
5-0 passes. And I have the honor of reading one last one, D, adoption of retirement resolutions. And this will be made known of, and those who have already submitted the paperwork to retire, be made known of and publicly commended for their dedication and service to the education of the youth in the Los Alamitos Unified School District. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Mr. Fayette.
Aye.
Ms. Cattouli.
Aye.
Mr. Forehand.
Aye.
Mrs. Hill.
Aye.
Mrs. Davidson.
Okay, now moving on to E, acceptance of bid number 2223-11, approval of agreement with Best Contracting Services Incorporated for the 300 building re-roofing project at the Los Alamitos High School. Do I have a motion for approval?
So move.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Did we want Mrs. Galicia?
Oh, are you going to
now we
talk
have a
about
leak.
it? Okay, it was so clear.
No problem. Thank you, Mr. President. As you know, with the excessive amount of rain we've had this winter, our roofs at the high school are needing to be repaired. So therefore, we're bringing forward this contract, which Best Contracting Services was the lowest responsible bidder, and we will be completing this project during the summer.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in, any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. Now, Ms. Galicia, adoption of resolution number 2022-2023-18 of the Board of Education, Los Alamitos Unified School District, acting as the legislative body of the Community Facilities District number 90-1 of the Los Alamitos School District relative to increasing the levy of special taxes within the Community Facilities District number 90-1 by 4.75%.
Thank you, Mr. President. We bring forward this resolution every year to allow the board to increase the special tax by 4.75%. The new rate is now $249.78. This is also known as our Melrose special tax, and we use these funds to pay our COPs, which is our debt that we've used in the past for facility improvements.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Fayette.
Aye.
Ms. Cattouli.
Aye.
Mr. Forehand.
Aye.
Mrs. Hill.
Aye.
Mrs. Davidson.
Okay, passes 5-0. Moving on to item G, approval of salary range reallocation for instructional assistant dash accompanist on the classified salary schedule. Dr. Frazier.
Thank you, Mr. President. First off, I'd like to thank the Personnel Commission for their work on really looking at ways that we could help compensate our instructional assistant for our accompanist position for the choir for the high school. In short, the position is a very skilled position, and we felt like we really needed to be able to pay them accordingly to not only recruit really good candidates, but to retain those employees. And so I worked with the Personnel Commission on researching some different districts and some different accompanist positions in Orange County, LA County as well. And we were able to come to an agreement to bring this to the board for consideration.
Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Okay. H, adoption of resolution 2022-2023-16, a resolution of the Board of Education of Los Alamitos Unified School District authorizing the issuance of Los Alamitos Unified School District General Obligation Bonds, election of 2008 Series H, School Facilities Improvement District Number 1, and actions related thereto. Ms. Galicia.
Thank you, Mr. President. The approval of this resolution will allow us to issue the 8th and final issuance of Measure K bonds. This will be about $3.6 million that will assist us in continuing with the facility projects.
Thank you. Do I have a motion for approval?
Also move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I just want to say this is how we finance our facility needs. And so this Measure K that started in 2008, we will no longer, after we finance them this time or we sell them on the market, that will be totally sold out. But we still have work to do, so we're trying to get all our money together.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
It's a roll.
Oh,
it's
wait,
a
it's a roll call.
Roll call, that's right.
Mr. Fayette.
Aye.
Ms. Cattouli.
Aye.
Mr. Forehand.
Aye.
Mrs. Hill.
Aye.
Mrs. Davidson.
All right, I hear 5-0 approval. Moving on to I, adoption of resolution 2022-2023-17, a resolution of the Board of Education of the Los Alamitos Unified School District authorizing the issuance of Los Alamitos Unified School District General Obligation Bonds, election of 2018 Series C, School Facilities Improvement District Number 1, and actions related thereto. Ms. Galicia.
Thank you, Mr. President. Once again, this is the third and final series as well for Measure G that we will be issuing bonds for. So it's about $20 million. Again, will assist us in trying to complete some of our projects.
Thank you. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Mr. Fayette.
Aye.
Ms. Cattouli.
Aye.
Mr. Forehand.
Aye.
Mrs. Hill.
Aye.
Mrs. Davidson.
Passes 5-0. Moving on to approval of warrants. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
A lot of pages.
Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Passes 5-0. Acceptance of donations, one of our favorite slides. Do I have a motion for approval?
Move approval.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Thank you.
See the grand total. Wow. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Classified personnel report and certificated personnel report. Dr. Frazier.
Thank you, Mr. President. The dynamic duo of the classified personnel and the certificated personnel reports, I am bringing them forward as presented tonight.
It's been moved.
Second.
Seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. N, approval of an agreement and stipulation to a full student expulsion waiver of hearing and appeal rights. Ms. Cattouli.
It is moved that the agreement and stipulation to a full student expulsion waiver of hearing and appeal rights for a Los Alamitos Unified School District student be approved for the violation of the following education code, 48915C.
Thank you. Do I have a motion for approval?
That was a motion.
Oh, it's been moved. Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. We will now move into closed session where we'll discuss labor negotiations, public employee discipline, dismissal and release, and student discipline. So, good night.